Welcome everybody to episode 15 of Raiders of the Lost Art, Hacking Music, The Habits of Headliners, with my good buddy John Pisciotta from Jetpack Artist Ventures. Coming to you from my studio in Melbourne, Australia. It's a nice early morning here. I've got the lights on, I've just had my coffee, so I'm ready to have a great conversation. Before we get into this, I just wanted to sort of thank everyone who's been tuning into this season of Raiders of the Lost Art. What started off as being a channel and some videos to showcase how I hid some codes inside my music and how to explore and decode that music has turned into this really interesting sort of fusion of art, spirituality, business, nature, and the rise of the creative thinker. We've tackled subjects like, do musicians make good coders? We've talked about getting paid using design thinking principles for artists. And, you know, I believe as we move forward, the rise of the creative thinker is going to become a lot more valuable to business. And, you know, I encourage all the artists out there who are watching this, who are getting into their craft or are trying to look to how do they sort of, you know, supplement their income or whatever it is, what does success look like for them, that this channel is something that will help you sort of discover that a lot more. And today's episode's fantastic for that. You know, I've been working with John now for a while myself on my own music and my own art. And, you know, he's a very forward-thinking guy with a very forward-thinking organization in Nashville, Tennessee. You know, we've built a great bond together, and I love working with him, and I love working with the label. As we move into Series 2 of Raiders of the Lost Art, we're going to be sort of really trying to put a spotlight on those people that are really ahead of the curve, the outliers, the people that feel like they don't fit in, but people who really have a foot in music, art, creativity, technology, science, spiritualism. It's this fusion of these different ideas, which I'm hoping will sort of infuse into you, especially as creative people or as business people looking to be more creative. With that being said now, I'm going to pump on into the interview with John, and we're going to get into episode 15, Raiders of the Lost Art. Let's go. Welcome, John. It's great to have you back on the show, mate. Great to see you again.
Good to see you, Finn. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm really, really good. It's nice and early in the morning here, and I'm ready to rock and roll. I have my coffee and switched on all my gear, and I'm ready to learn all about hacking music, mate. And I'm sure everyone who's in the audience is about to too, which is great.
Yeah, glad to talk about it.
So, John, getting started. So, what is hacking music, mate? And like, why do you think it's essential for artists and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, hacking music is essential. First, hacking music kind of came about over the last 15 years of doing business, being in boardrooms, being in the studio, being on the road, being in private settings, and just kind of taking good notes. So when we're sitting with Garth Brooks and his manager or the head of Sony, you know, there's a reason why the head of Sony is the head of Sony. And I guess it's called success leaves clues. So I've always been a note taker. And over the last 20 years now, I've just been in the habit of compiling. So I had a big binder full of stuff that I've written down over the years. I called it like the 2% book. It was like, these are the top 2% of the thoughts, observations, the way they think, right? So after that binder got so full, you know, 3 years ago, we started writing the hacking music course book, and it's just kind of filled with things that work. Habits, hacks, frameworks, whatever you want to call it. Those things that make your time more efficient, that make your effort, that multiply your efforts. So that's basically what it is. It's how we work at Jetpack, and we wanted to kind of open source it and make it available for artists all over the world. And as we're doing hacking music, you know, the signups have been, you know, really great. So that's what it is. And it's essential because there's so much mythology out there. There's so many talking heads who really are good at talking and not training. You know, maybe they come out of radio and they just kind of like to talk, and they're really not saying anything. So a lot of that thought leadership is really just marketing in disguise. You know, they spam your inbox, they hit you on Facebook every 8 seconds with something, and it's just noise. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to create something that was about training and strengthening artists, building muscle around artists, not just kind of patty cake stuff. This is like, it's like going to the gym. Like, you do stuff that really yields a result.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is kind of the back office support systems, the structures. It's platform building. It's the stuff that strengthens, supports, and sells your music. We're not really telling you how to play your guitar or how to write your songs. You should be able to figure that out. Hacking music is about kind of the back office platform building for artists.
Yeah, and that seems to be such a it seems to be such a dark art, doesn't it? So, like, as artists, we just focus on so much of the time into the music and what gear we're buying, and the fine tuning of, like, of our sound and our amps and blah blah blah. But it's this business side of the business, and being able to pull out that knowledge of, again, what all those years and all the note taking that you've done in that side of it allows you to amplify your speed to be able to get that knowledge to, rather than going through that process yourself. It's that peak and the understanding of the way you put it together too. It's not just here's the notes; it's the actual here's how you can make sense of this. We
don't tell you what to create. We don't tell you what to think. We just kind of show you how to think better. Like we were talking the other day, it's like artists have this thing where they have to make all the mistakes themselves. Like, they think they're totally originals and like they're the first on the planet. Maybe they're precious with their thought process. And that's kind of a dangerous place, especially now as technology has disrupted the music and media space. You can't make those mistakes for yourself. You have to be patterning and learning from somebody who's gone before you. So it's the idea of, one person's hindsight is the next person's foresight, and really to help artists not make those mistakes, and to see around the corners in a way that really strengthens what they're doing and kind of helps them to not implode on the runway. That is common.
Am I right in saying that you synthesized all of these notes down into some courseware, and then you created a book and a course? Is that correct?
What it is it's 12 modules, and we have 2 training groups each year, and we go through 12 modules. Laying the foundation, artist is hacker, tactical shit, lean music methodology, the music business model canvas. There's a lot of things in those 12 modules. And then each module has, a stack of sections with it. And there's action items assigned to those sections. And the artists have to go away and really do the work in order to graduate into the next module. So it's kind of a low bullshit thing. Like, it's show up with your work boots, turn off all your notification. Like, we're going to build some muscle here instead of
how does it work, John? Is it like, what's the period of time it's over? Like, is each module a certain period of time, or?
It's two modules a month.
Right.
So every other week we do one, and there's, it's very interactive and very actionality is the word we use, where it's not about us being thought of as smarter. It's about the artists getting better, and really becoming a better artist and competing at a higher level.
And what about
a lot of times artists kind of get.
What about for artists, say, in Australia? Sure. I know you're in Nashville, and you've got time zones, and you've got. Do you do this as well online, or is it all in person?
Well, yeah, we have the private training group is online. It's a group training. We limit it to 20 people each 6 months, and then we have a one-on-one option that's more personalized, and we work through it together. But yeah, the training group itself is 20 artists together online twice a month for 2 or 3 hours.
Okay. So, John, can you give us an example of some of the hacks? Can you take us through, a couple of them?
Yeah, you bet. There's a couple that I think are kind of good slices through that were pulled randomly throughout the book. So if you pull up one of them, Finn, can you throw them up on the screen there?
Well, I've got bowling, matrix, super high value. So there's the bowling one.
Let's look at the bowling hack. So a lot of the context for this, Finn, is that artists are usually really great at the day-to-day stuff. Boots on the ground, writing songs, doing the concert. That those kind of things they're fairly good at, right? Where they have an Achilles heel is really on the strategic, like how to pull up and see your career over a year period and see where you're going over a year or 2 years. So the bowling hack is a way that to kind of marry those two together. Yes, the tactical is important, but you also need to have a strategic vision for where you're going. So if you could pull that up, we'll step through that. So what this is this is a tool to kind of break things down. What we do is we say, okay, let's look at our year. What are the 6 things that we want to accomplish? In a perfect world, what would be those 6 things that we want to go after? And let's just say you want to do it all within a year. So, these will be 2 or 3 months each, 2 months each, So what we do is we say, okay, let's think about, okay, what are those 6 things? And let's put them on a board. We use stickies a lot in hacking music. So you and your team would go to a wall with the stickies and say, okay, how do we break up our year? And what are those 6 things that we need to accomplish? We want to really be about. And over an hour or 2 half day timeline, you and your team decide on these 6 events. I hate the word goals because it always means, I either failed or I accomplished it, or New Year's resolutions. This is bowling, right? So this is kind of gamification of, achievement. Yep. So you come up with those 6 things and you say, okay, let's sequence them. So what's the first thing we need to accomplish? And you put that first. And then the second thing and the third thing, and the fourth and the sixth, they kind of leverage into those. So the first thing drives the second, and then those 2 drive 4, 5, and 6, just like bowling. So what it does is it kind of tricks your brain into going after things a little bit more aggressively in a way that's fun. So this is the gamification or the game theory, as you are familiar with. And what this does is it turns it into a game. It turns it into fun. You put this on your wall, and over the course of the year, something happens that's really interesting. You start to hit these marks. You start to achieve these things. And the bowling hack kind of helps you do that. And with your team, it really helps you get alignment and clarity, because this person's not thinking this thing and this person's not thinking this thing. You're like, okay, these are the 6 things. That's it. We're not doing 7. We're not doing 12. We're doing these 6 in this order. And this first thing is what we're focused on first. So after you have those 6, then you break it down. You say, okay, what are the tasks to just hit that first bowling pin? We're not going after the second one. We're not going after the third one. So it's a way to really focus your mind and your efforts in a way that is fun and achievable. So that's kind of the book.
Well, it's interesting because I've witnessed that firsthand with working with you, John. I've been working on my album, The Code, for so many years, and we were buddies and we were chatting, and I know tons of people in the record industry in the US and tons of relationships. But it was that moment where you go, Finn, get your record done by Thanksgiving. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll commit to it. And you go, commit to it. I'm like, yeah, I'll commit to it. No worries. And then I hung up the phone and went, when's Thanksgiving? It was like 2 weeks. Yeah. And I was like, but you know what? It got me focused. It got my album done. And then you were like, right, now we're going to do this and this and this. And just having you guiding, like, look, I run thinking systems. I teach businesses. I do all this stuff myself. But just having you guiding me and just giving me that structure was just, it made me commit to a process. And now, 6 months later, we've achieved so much together. This, for example, this series was something that you helped cultivate. So it's, I'm speaking firsthand. I know a lot of people around the world in different labels and different systems. And that's why I picked working with you, John. You get the best out of me. Like, I can be my own worst enemy sometimes, because like I look at my art as it's not that important because, I'm doing all these other things, but you help me sort of, crystallize my vision and help me get that out through this process, I think, now that you've mentioned that.
I appreciate you saying that, Finn. And that's really common for artists. It's like you're this close to everything, right? You can't see next week. You're right here, right? So the hacking music training, the frameworks and all this stuff in it really, we've worked with artists and entrepreneurs for, since I was 12, but there's some DNA in artists that is really important and really good and really needed. And then there's some stuff that Achilles heel is an appropriate term for it, but it can really screw up artists. We see artists floating on the runway, getting too precious with their music, thinking the world's going to bow down to them. And it just doesn't work that way anymore. Yes, music is important, but what's important is that you wrestle it down to earth and you get it into the world and get it into your customers' hands. So, I appreciate you saying thanks.
Well, it's interesting because you look at a diagram like that, and I'm sure, like I think it, and I'm sure other people think about, oh yeah, that's really obvious. But it's not about that. It's the coaching and the mentoring about making you do the work and actually going through it. Seeing a graphic is one thing, but actually going through the process and actually doing the work is where you see the benefits, right? It's like,
It's weird. It really is obvious. I mean, it's we're not putting men on the moon here, right? We're just helping people execute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's weird because we just recently moved offices and we pulled some stuff out from 8 years ago. And it was one of these bowling hack things. We're like, holy crap. Wow. We did like 80% of this year. We did that stuff. That's cool. And 80% is awesome. You don't have to get 100%. Just hit 80% and you're in a good place. So yeah, it's more about the results and not about, isn't it clever? No, it's not really brilliant or genius, but the results that it yields are significant.
Yeah, and I'm living proof to say that it does work. So another one, John. Let's look at something else. Give us another one.
What else we have? Super high value.
Yeah, so super high value. Yeah, let's look at that.
So this is something. Look, as artists and entrepreneurs, there's a continuous barrage of noise pulling us away from what we're to be about as artists and entrepreneurs, right? Whether it's email, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, spam, all vying for our attention. So our job as artist entrepreneurs are to ignore 99% of that. And so this is a tool that helps us really map our days. We use this every day. And what this is, we call it this super high value matrix. It's kind of a goofy term, but we'll just go with that. And what this is down here in the lower left, there's no value down there. The stuff that you shouldn't be doing, right? Surfing Netflix, chasing Twitter, reading blogs, whatever. It's the stuff that doesn't move your ball forward. The up and to the left are the low value tasks. These are the things that, you have to do, but they're really low value. It could be picking up milk or whatever. And then as we move to the right side of the board, there's high value in the bottom right. Those are the stuffs that are high value. You should be doing them, right? And then there's super high value. These are the things that if you do these three things, you make your day. You significantly hit it out of the park. And so for entrepreneurs, segmenting your mind and your time in this fashion makes the most of your day to where you're not wasting your day. So that's kind of the no value, low value, high value, and super high value. And then in the middle, Finn, if you can flip back to that, there's a box, and this is look, artists and entrepreneurs are avoiders. We avoid the thing that we know we should do that we just kind of cringe and go, oh, I really don't want to do that. It could be accounting, it could be firing somebody, whatever that thing is. So this is the avoidance box. This is the thing that you're avoiding, that you know you should do, but you don't want to do it. And you're willing to lie to yourself and tell yourself, oh, I don't really need to do that, and I'm just going to avoid it. And so what we do is you put that thing in the middle, the avoiding thing there, and you do that first. Some people call that eating the frog, whatever. But this helps us really map out those super high value things that, look, if I do these three things today is a win. And then there's high value and low value and no value. So it really helps give you a frame and a lens to start ignoring the things that don't move your ball forward. So this is what we call the super high value task. And this is part of we call it the tactical shit module. This is all about execution, project management stuff, making the most of your days, if you've got 3 hours, how do you maximize those 3 hours and make it feel like you got 10 hours worth of work out of those 3 hours? So that's one of the frameworks we use. We use it every day. Right.
And it's obviously getting people started, getting the wings off the ground, coaching them through it, making them accountable is critical, right? Again, it can look so simple, some of this stuff, but it's doing the work and actually following the process is where you see the results,
Force multipliers are simple. They're simple things, like a hammer is simple. But when you use the right hammer in the right way, it's like you multiply, you get 10x of your time back from that thing. So yeah, you're right. It's that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. Okay. What else have we got here? We've got
let's look at something musical, the Super Songs hack. So this is from the Super Song module, and this is probably the most music that we get into in hacking music. As we've said before, we're not telling you how to write songs and play your instrument. We're telling you how to build and support and strengthen so you can have a career. So this is the song stickiness matrix, and this came out of a couple high-level meetings where the head of the largest publishing company in the world shared with me and a colleague that 80% of their revenue comes from one type of song. So you can think of it as an archetype, like a song archetype. So it's important to know what kind of song is that? Why does that song drive revenue so ferociously compared to all the other song types? So let's kind of step through this. So we have two axes. We have time and place. On the left is time. We have down tempo and up tempo, faster on the top and slower on the bottom. And on the bottom, we have place. This is where the song sits. So baby writers usually write from a very personal place. This happened to me in the 3rd grade, and I want the world to know about it, right? Super hyper personal. And then on the right side of that is a universal theme. These are songs that are in a place that they not only mean something to you as the creator of them, but they also mean something to 50,000 other people as well. So it's very much like a film, to where Godfather, Star Wars, whatever other movie you love, the director of that film created it in a way to where the the customer can step into that movie and see themselves. So Universal over here at this side, these songs give the listener a place to step into those songs and experience them for themselves. Um, um, just a small town girl living in a lonely world. Took the midnight train going everywhere. Everybody can kind of see themselves in that lyric, and they kind of make it theirs, right? So let's look at each of these archetypes here. Q1 is kind of the quadrant of death. It's down tempo and personal. It's a ballad, and it's hyper wrist slitting. It means something to you, but it really doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So that's the quadrant of death down there in the bottom left. And then up in quadrant 2 are up tempo songs that are still super personal. A lot of the Rush stuff is like that. It's lyrically impenetrable unless you really kind of super geek out and try to figure out what it means. High energy, but super personal and hard to understand. And then when you go over to Q3, those are down tempo ballads that are universal. My Way from Frank Sinatra. I Can't Make You Love Me from Bonnie Raitt. It's a ballad, but everybody can step into that song and see themselves in it. And then up at Q4, this is kind of the super song quadrant where 80% of the revenue for the largest publishing company in the world, this is the quadrant that most of their revenue is coming from. And these are up-tempo universal. So a couple of those, Don't Stop Believin' would be up here. Living on a Prayer would be up here. Material Girl from Madonna would be up here. 99 Problems from Jay-Z would be up here. So that marriage of up-tempo and the universal theme where everybody can kind of enter into it is a valuable place to grow your songs. Brent Baxter talks about you want to grow your songs in the right neighborhood. This is the neighborhood that you want to grow your songs in. So this is a tool that, we use, and we have all our artists kind of go through and say, okay, let's kind of peg your songs where they land here. And baby artists will be over to the bottom left, developing artists. And then, the more developing and dominating artists, you start to understand, why those songs are valuable and where to spend your writing time. And it really helps you know what songs not to write,
And they're like my songs, like the, I don't sit anywhere on that quadrant, I suppose.
Well, this is popular music stuff.
Yeah,
you are an innovator, instrumentalist person. So, we're talking about pop
lyrics. I break the mold in everywhere I go.
Well, right. Yeah. So that's a tool that, we were in a joint venture with Garth Brooks' company, and one of our writers was writing with one of their top writers. And the first day they got together and they just looked at song titles and they didn't write. And I'm going, wow, that's kind of interesting. And then the next day they got together and they wrote a fantastic song that was solidly in that super song quadrant, Q4. And it went on to be nominated for Video of the Year and Song of the Year. So it helps us know what songs not to write and how to invest our time in writing the songs that, get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
So that's part of the Super Songs module.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great insights. And I'm sure, look, there's probably tons more, obviously, but we don't have time today to go through 500,000 different modules. But
yeah, those are 3 quick slices that kind of give you an idea of, like, you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. Let's learn from people that have gone before us and, had stellar careers.
Yeah, that's great mentorship. Yeah. So John, tell us about Hacking Music X.
Yeah. So Hacking Music X. We just finished the private training group a month and a half ago. And so we wanted to really just take a break and do a 7-day training session that was open to everybody, free for artists, and do it in a way that is consistent with the hacking music culture and how we work here at Jetpack. It's about 7 days of strengthening the next generation of great artists. As you know, we've lost so many great artists that have left big shoes for us to fill. And I believe that's part of our mission, is to fill those shoes with artists that are healthier, more productive, more profitable. So Hacking Music X is a 7-day event where we're gonna do 2 training sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and it's gonna be fantastic. Thank you for joining us and being one of the guest trainers. We don't have speakers, we have trainers. So it's not about, oh, isn't Finbar great? Look what he's accomplished. It's Finbar's learned some things, and he's gonna pour into the next generation of artists. So it really is about right brain people succeeding in a left brain world. And that's Rodney Jerkins, who produced Michael Jackson and Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga, is going to give the keynote. It's just real world stuff from people who aren't secretive about what they've learned and are able to give it away.
So how do people get onto it, John? Like, how do they find out more?
We can put a link
okay
in below here, and people can sign up. We're going to be we're about 80% sold out right now. We may be releasing more tickets over the next week or two here before July 5th. But yeah, we'll put a link below.
Okay.
And if your viewers, if this is something that resonates with them, yeah, they should be part of it.
And is your book, Hacking Music, is that available to purchase, or is that only part of the course?
It is. I mean, it's part of the course. When you join the training, you get the book free, but it's it's on Amazon and other book places. Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, look, for anyone that's watching this and is liking the stuff that I'm doing is actually partially because of working with Jetpack and working with John. So I'm a big fan of what the work that they do and how they try and amplify the value that artists create. Just because I'm a bit of a psycho and a weirdo that loves innovating and challenging stuff, I'm sure I'm a bit of a challenge to them, but they've just been incredible. And so, I just think there's so much to learn from some great people. They are in Nashville, so if anyone listening from Russia or England or Australia, there's just a time difference, but it's great training. I stand behind it.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much. And that's the good news of the new music marketplace. It's like, yeah, you're a different artist. So what?
Exactly.
It's like the people that love your stuff, we need to serve them with making it easy for them to interact and digest what you're doing. We don't want to make it hard for them. We want to take that away. We want to take steps away and make them connect with you easier. So that's an exciting thing about the new music world.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's been great, John. I really appreciate you coming on this episode and filling everyone in. Highly recommend anyone that's interested in exploding the value of their career, checking out what Jetpack do, joining the bus, and look forward to connecting, John, with you on more episodes of Raiders as we move into season 2. And we go from strength to strength. Bowling hack 101.
That's right. And thank you for jumping in and being one of the guest trainers at Hacking Music.
My pleasure, mate.
You're going to be speaking on how to see the world as an artist entrepreneur. So I'm looking forward to hearing that, as well as the people that have signed up already, because I think there's a lot that, you've figured out that you can kind of share with the 18-year-old Finbar that just, is figuring it out in India.
Yeah, well, look, I must say I'm very blessed. I've been very successful to have some great people around me that have helped me get to a point where I can afford to do all this sort of stuff now, and create the music I want to create without worrying about having to, do something that's not me. And yeah, look, I'm happy to share some of those insights, and hopefully that will help people everywhere.
I know it will.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again,
Thanks
John.
so much, Ben.
Yeah, let's keep on trucking, and see you on a future episode of Raiders. And everyone, hacking music
On Raider.
Okay. See you guys.
Thanks so much.
Have a great week.